presented to everyone by the Young Surgeons Committee. Very thankful for all of you who are attending. And we just have some brief on the next slide, just some brief reminders for our session. When you're not speaking, if you can, try to mute your microphone. That'll help with any background noise. Be mindful of your camera, and if you can, avoid multitasking. Certainly, we all may have phone calls and pages and things. So do what you need to do, but just a reminder to mute yourself if possible when you're doing other things. All right, next slide. We won't have too many slides, just to get us started. Central Surgical Association, this is just a little bit about us. A prominent surgical society where top quality clinical and academic work has been presented since 1940. It covers many of the surgical programs in North America, and it's expanded its boundaries outside of traditional regional boundaries. And the objective of the association is to further the practice of surgery and its various departments, as well as the study and investigation of surgical problems, which many of our past, current, and future presidents have contributed to significantly, and we hope that our young members will continue to do as well. Next slide. So our Young Surgeons Committee, many of us are on the call tonight. This is just very briefly who we are. So I know I'm Jamie Lewis. I'm at the University of Cincinnati. I know I saw Joel Bean was here from Ohio State. I believe I know I saw Dr. McDowell from Indiana University, Dr. Pandian from WashU, Dr. Veenstra, who is from Rush. And I'm not sure if I missed any of our other committee members who were able to join us this evening. And next slide. We are very thankful again to have our past, present, and future presidents who have joined us. And if you would each mind just taking a moment and introducing yourselves, maybe tell us when you were or will be president and where or what you're currently doing. And I see Dr. McHenry, you are first on my screen, so I'll give it to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jamie. I'm Chris McHenry. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and an endocrine surgeon, endocrine and general surgeon. And I honestly can't remember when I was the president of the Central Surgical. I think it was, I followed Jerry Larson, so Jerry may be able to help me, but that's my background. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Well, then we'll turn it over to Dr. Larson.
Yes, hello everybody. Jamie. I'm Jerry Larson, and I live in Louisville, Kentucky, and I served as president in 2013, and I am a general and GI surgeon.
Thank you so much. Dr. Malangoni, I know I saw you next on my screen as well.
Thanks, Jamie. Hi, everybody. Good evening. I'm Mark Malangoni, general surgeon, Cleveland, Ohio, now retired. And I was president of this organization in 2005, 2006.
Awesome. Dr. Pritz.
So I got to get off mute as Andrew runs out. So good evening, everybody. Tim Pritz, Cincinnati, trauma surgeon. I'm the immediate past president. So just turn the reins over to Dr. Weigel at the annual meeting this past year. So welcome, everyone.
Dr. Weigel.
Hi, Ron Weigel. I am the current president of the Central Surgical, and I'm here in Iowa City at the University of Iowa. I do endocrine surgery and breast surgery, and have done general surgery for a long time, which I stopped a few years ago. And it's great to see everybody, and thank you for organizing this.
Thank you for coming. Dr. Ellison, I know you have been a past president here and you have an even more important presidency currently.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor to participate this evening. And I was the president during the great snowstorm in Cincinnati, I think in 2008, when many of us were stranded there, including us. But it's a wonderful organization, and I'm very proud to have been a past president and participate in this meeting. And currently, I'm an emeritus professor at Ohio State, very involved with resident education and coaching, and the current president of the American College of Surgeons. So I appreciate the opportunity to participate. Thank you very much, Jamie.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I do believe that was my first central surgical meeting, but I did, unlike many of you, I made it home after the meeting. Dr. Nussbaum, I see you. You were probably at that meeting too.
Oh yeah, I think I was local arrangements for that meeting. I did not arrange the snow, but I think I hosted a number of people for dinner that night. I had a hard time getting home, and after that, it was so much snow I decided to move to Florida. So, but I'm Michael Nussbaum. I believe I was president 2010, 2011. When we were in Detroit, and I am currently the chair of surgery at Virginia Tech Carilion School of Medicine in Roanoke, Virginia. I'm a general GI endocrine surgeon.
Awesome. Dr. Shoup, I know I saw you on here.
Hi, yes, I'm Margot Shoup. I was president, I think, in 2019. When we were in Florida. I do know we were in Florida for my presidential address. I'm currently back in Florida. I'm in Orlando, Florida. I'm a surgical oncologist. I'm president of the Orlando Health Cancer Institute. I've been here for about 1.5 years.
Awesome. And I believe Dr. Brunt, perhaps you're the last of our presidents.
Hi, Michael Brunt. I'm at Washington St. Louis, MIS and endocrine surgeon. I was president in 2020-21, just before Dr. Pritz. And the meeting we had in July in Chicago, combined with the Midwest, was, I'm pretty sure, the first general surgery meeting in the US that occurred after the onset of the pandemic in March 2020. So it was a wonderful meeting and celebration. And I was Dr. Ellison's program chair for that meeting in Cincinnati when it snowed. And we don't have to worry about that anymore because our meetings are now in June. So.
Really a good idea to keep them there.
With global warming, you never know.
Did I miss anyone on the list? If not, we will go ahead and move forward with our agenda for the evening. So some of you may have attended prior events like this. We're going to run it relatively similarly. We have a few polling questions about mentoring and mentorship and related topics. So we have 4 polls, and we'd like to get everybody's input on these polls, and then we're going to break out into some small groups where we can further discuss how we feel about these, and then we'll come back into a big group at the end. So the first poll that you all have that you should be able to participate in, oh, there it goes. Mentor and mentee pairings should always form organically. Formal pairings never work. Agree or disagree?
All right, well, we have 17 of 18 who have answered the question. Oh, and there's the 18th, so I will share the results.
All right, well, we'll see if we can get some conversation on that and see if we have any movement after the discussions. So most of us disagree with that. All right, next question. Mentor and mentee pairing should always be one-on-one. Group mentorship models are ineffective.
We have 16 of 18 who have, oh, and there we go. I will share now.
This could be a good conversation. So a little bit more split here on this one, with 2/3 of the group disagreeing. Poll question number 3. Mentees should always look for mentors who look like them and have lives they want to emulate. Agree or disagree?
"17 of 18 have answered, and this is less close. This is even. Oh, I didn't share. Sorry, I thought I had. There we go.
All right. Well, maybe a little bit less of a riveting discussion, but perhaps can talk about some related topics on that question. All right. And final poll, sponsorship is more important than either coaching or mentorship. And again, not too much difference of opinion there, but hopefully should spur on some interesting conversation regardless. So from here, we'll break into 4 rooms. Each room should have at least one of the Young Surgeon Committee members in it. And if that person could please bring back any key points or topics from the conversation. So we'll spend about 20 minutes or so, maybe until about 8:40 in your breakout groups. And then we'll come back and have each of the different groups present some of their key topics and have a little conversation about it.
And just for my own benefit, I do apologize. Is each breakout group addressing all 4 questions or a single question?
Each breakout group can address one question, and if you will assign us 1 through 4, and I apologize if I didn't make that completely clear.
Okay. All right. All right, Ilya, who is in? Do you have the breakout assignments for room for the first room?
Yes, they're all assigned a question based on the number. So room 1 is question 1, room 2 is question 2, room 3 is question 3, and room 4 is question 4.
Okay, so should I share the questions again just so people can see them before they go into the rooms?
Yes, and it looks like we have one question.
Hey, Jamie, it's Danny Eickerman. How are you?
Hey, Danny.
A question. Do you want to define for this what is mentorship, what is coaching, and what is sponsorship, so we all know what we're talking about?
Perhaps each group could do that.
Oh, okay. Because they are a little bit different, and if we all come back with different definitions, may be difficult to have consensus. So just a thought.
That is definitely a good topic. I think I'll probably leave that to each room since we hadn't done that. Since we don't have specific definitions written out, and it could lead to a prolonged discussion, but each room may want to define that for their specific topic. Good thought.
All right, so those that wind up in room 1 are going to be discussing this question.
Room 1 will be about pairings.
Pairings. Room 2.
Is models one-to-one versus group. Poll 3 is regarding finding mentors who look like you or not. Thank you, Dr. Pritz.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Excellent. There we go.
And then room 4 is talking about sponsorship versus coaching and mentoring.
Let's see.
Okay, should we pause recording?
Well, that was great. I hope everybody had as good of a discussion as we did in room 3. So it's 8:40. So perhaps every room can spend 2 to 3 minutes, maybe talking about what they discussed in their rooms. And then we can keep it open for general conversation for the last 8 to 10 minutes. So room 1.
That's me, right, Jamie?
Oh, is that you, Joel? Yes.
I think so. It was great conversation. I got really lucky. Lots of pearls of wisdom. But one of the biggest things that I took home, was about mentorship versus sponsorship, and that's something that you struggle with sometimes. As a mentee, you can seek out people, and people are usually willing to offer you advice and support. But sponsorship, it kind of that person has to kind of extend themselves and put you up in places. So their kind of reputation is on the line a little bit too, because they're recommending you for certain positions. And we talked about how, whereas a mentee-mentor relationship is something that typically a mentee seeks out a mentor, but with sponsorship, sometimes it's the sponsor that needs to seek out the sponsee, if you will. But one way you can position yourself is to, keep your head down, work really hard, but also kind of remind those around you of kind of some of the great things that you're doing so that people can promote your work and sponsor your work. That was one of the big things that really rang true to, as a junior attending.
And your poll question, I think, was about whether or not mentor-mentee pairings could be assigned.
Yeah, so we were, and Dr. Ellison and Dr. Weigel and Dr. Shoup can chime in, but we were a little bit on the fence. I mean, there's, it's not a absolute kind of question. And I mentioned how, in my career, things have kind of changed. Where I was a resident and a fellow, I sought out my mentors, but now as a junior attending, it's important for senior leadership to advise me on who, because there's so many people. I'm in a big university, right? Who are going to be the best mentors for me. And so you need that advice. You sometimes need that pairing. And, the old adage of you don't know what you don't know rings true in certain situations. And we talked about how, something that's very inorganic at the beginning can become very organic, and how you can really grow and learn things from people that are kind of different from you or unlike you, or that you wouldn't expect to learn so much from.
All right, well, maybe we can talk about room 2. And I don't know if this was Ben or Allie.
Yeah, it's been. So yeah, we had a good discussion, and again, room 2 was on the one-on-one versus a group mentorship. And if we remember, the poll showed that almost everyone thought that a group mentorship model could be effective. Interestingly, I mean, we all felt that in our room, but interestingly enough, I don't think any of us had really participated in a true group mentorship style. And so we feel that it can be beneficial, and there's some nuances between a one-on-one and a group. Dr. McHenry kind of recounted how, as the division head, he kind of has that role of mentoring all of the faculty under him in promoting those individuals. So in a sense, I think it's kind of that group mentorship, or almost that designated pairing, where things can then happen organically as people get to know one another. We did say in the private or the one-to-one pairings, some of the advantages are for, if you look in the resident world or the junior faculty world, being able to go over sensitive or private issues as people are transitioning through their training or their first years of their career. It can be very specific to those individuals, and that the roles in your group as a mentor and a mentee are pretty well established. So you can have a good understanding of what you bring and what to expect to take away from there. So I don't think we had any rash changes in how we looked at it, but I think we found it pretty interesting that none of us really had that formal group familyship style mentorship, but we think it's very valid. If anybody else wants to join in.
All right, well, we'll probably circle back to that topic. Room 3 was my room. So we were talking about whether or not mentor-mentee pairs should, quote unquote, look alike, that you want to find individuals who necessarily look like you as your mentor, and most everyone disagreed with that poll, as we did. However, we talked a little bit about how there still is some desire, a lot of desire amongst mentees to find mentors who look like them. And we talked about some of the surgical societies that have developed kind of along this theme, Association of Women Surgeons being one of them. So we didn't necessarily have any answers there, except that we all disagree with that, but I think acknowledge that there still are some challenges experienced, especially by underrepresented individuals in medicine, finding mentors who they feel comfortable working with. And we also spend a lot of time talking about the differences between mentorship, coaching, and sponsorship. And we had Danny in our group, and Danny gave us a little phrase that I'll share with everybody to maybe think about how they are different. I think coaching is maybe like a newer, I don't know, you guys will have to tell me. I think coaching in surgery is maybe a newer concept. And so mentorship and coaching are oftentimes thought of together, but Danny's definition was mentorship is someone who talks to you. A coach is someone who talks with you, and a sponsor is someone who talks about you. So one way to think about those different relationships, although we argued that maybe there's still some overlap at times. So that was room 3. And room 4, I believe, Allie.
Yeah, so we had a great discussion. Our question was sponsorship, is it more important than either coaching or mentorship? I think that overall, everyone in the group really kind of disagreed that sponsorship is more important, and really we all felt like each was valuable. We did go through kind of the differences between coaching, mentorship, and sponsorship. Coaching was felt to be something that was more concrete, more looking at a particular objective and working towards helping someone improve their performance based on that objective. And could be a little bit more of a short-term relationship in helping them improve that objective. Mentorship was felt to be more about relationship, and a little bit deeper relationship could be more long-term, helping someone really develop over their career, or at least a good portion of their career, and could be broader, not just about one primary objective, but looking at multiple things. And then sponsorship was also thought to be valuable, but not as long-term, not as in-depth, and is also looking at a particular objective, either a society or sponsoring someone for a committee. So overall, I think we felt like all were valuable, and not one in sponsorship, maybe not as much. I think overall the group felt like mentorship was maybe the most valuable. TK was also there. I don't know if he wants to chime in.
No, I think you covered it pretty well, Allie. That was kind of our summary. You know, we talked a little bit about, we got into a discussion about mentors and sort of good qualities. And I think one theme that came up that was, you know, really kind of good for us to hear was, you know, thinking about if you're becoming a mentor and have a mentee, is to really remember and remind yourself that relationship is really about the mentee, and the focus should really be on them. And that as sort of a part of that, there may be times where you can certainly help by giving a lot of positive reinforcement, but there may be times to give some sort of more constructive criticism as well, to redirect that person, and not being afraid to do that. So.
Well, I would like to maybe stop talking as much and kind of open the field to anybody else everybody who has participated, maybe just to share any reflections or thoughts. Ben, I could turn it over to you guys as well, if you'd like to share a little bit about our upcoming mentorship program.
Sure. I'll wait and see if we have any takers on anything else, and then I can finish with that.
Well, I'll just
Could I make a comment, please? Jamie, this has been a great session. I think the discussion of advisor, mentor, sponsor is really important. And to me, it's a stepwise progression of advisors and people that are trying to help you in your career. When you initially arrive at a program, you have an advisor, someone that your chair assigns or whatever. And then you eventually identify someone, I want to be like Keith Lillimo. And so I'm going to seek him out to help me out. And he doesn't look like me, but I want to be like him anyway. And so I think looking like and being like are two different things. And then I think the other thing you have to consider is, when is it appropriate for a mentor to become a sponsor? I mean, only when that mentee meets a certain level, and I think that Joel said it, that you are putting your reputation on the line, basically to recommend somebody to go to a certain position or whatever. And I think that's very important for each of the younger people to realize that you don't immediately go in and say, I want to be sponsored for this. It's like an evolution. So I think that's really important. I think, and I'm going to stop. I've got one more thing I wanted to say. And I think that team mentorship is incredibly important in science because it's multidisciplinary and it's across areas. And it's not necessarily only in surgery, but it's in surgery, molecular biology, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that is a much more difficult thing to put together, but it's very effective and it works very well. So I'll stop there. Thank you very much. It's been a great session. Thank you.
Thank you so much for participating.
Yeah, I agree with what Chris has just said, and I'll echo his comments. And maybe to add to that, one issue that relates to the choosing a mentor who looks like you issue, which is that all of us, follow a career path because it was trying to maximize what's important to us. And I think you have to be somewhat careful as a mentor to listen to what the person you're mentoring really wants, because they can deviate from what it is you want in your career. And you can advise people along a path that you think they should follow without really listening that the path that they want to follow is very different than what you as a mentor maybe has done. And so that's also relates to the importance of having a group of mentors, because people evolve in different ways. And often there's generational issues that are different. And so it's important to listen to what it is that your mentee really is focused on and what they are interested in, because it may diverge from what you as a mentor. And our natural tendency is to advise people and mentor them to look like us, and the next generation is going to look different than us.
Those are both great comments. I would just add something very briefly. I think coaching tends to be transactional. That's how it differs from the others. And I would say one thing about mentorship is when you go to look for a mentor, look for someone who has wisdom. That's really key, because you're going to want that wisdom imparted to you in your relationship.
I have one quick comment. I think it's hugely important for young faculty members who are just starting a new job to have a mentor, and for someone who they can look to for advice, someone who they can look to for assistance when they need help in the operating room, somebody who they can discuss a difficult case with them, that can help them, or that's available to them to help them. And I think the mentor, a good mentor is a person who is available to help the mentee with what they need, and identifying, not so much as telling them what they think that how they should be doing, but being available for them when they're in need. And I think that for a junior faculty member is very, very important.
And Jamie, one other to repeat somewhat what Chris just said. Anna made the point in our room that often when a resident or a junior faculty is new to a department, if it may take a while to identify whom you'd like to have as a mentor if you went the organic routes. And she suggested the advantage of a formal pairing when a junior faculty's member starts, because there are things that right at the outset that just regarding procedures and requirements in the department where a mentor could be very helpful. And the organic process can take some time.
Just one thought is, I think it's very valuable to have a mentor within your organization, but I think there's a lot of value to have a mentor who's outside of your organization as well. And I am a mentor to several people who are in academics, which I'm not really in academics anymore, but some organizations actually require that young faculty have mentors that are outside the organization. I think it's a really valuable way to look at things, because it's an unbiased opinion and something that you can run something by somebody who has no preconceived notions about what's going on. And they also can help your career as well. But I think it's something to think about. I found it very valuable.
Right. I'm just going to echo what Dr. Shoup said. I think that's it can take a little while to develop those relationships that you are in a position to have a mentor outside, but the surgical societies are a great avenue for that, a great opportunity. The Central Surgical is a good example. And certainly there've been many others in my career that people helped me along. And I think you're in turn willing to help others along to navigate perhaps the politics of the society. What should you think about next if you want to advance in the leadership and that sort of thing? So I think that's incredibly important. And it's something that I wasn't really aware of and didn't realize how much the relationships and opportunities within our surgical societies would mean as a part of my career. And so I would encourage you to seek out those people to help guide you outside your own institutions within organizations like the Central Surgical.
Dr. Shoup and Dr. Brunt, I'm going to use that as a perfect segue into our hopes. The Young Surgeons Committee, we are going to be sending out a survey to all of the Central Surgical Association members on kind of their thoughts on mentorship and their interests in being involved in a mentorship program that's specifically through the CSA. And so all of the young surgeons in the committee, we've kind of discussed about what this would look like, and we have some basic ideas. We're thinking of a family or a group mentorship with a senior physician, a junior faculty, and perhaps a resident or medical student, depending on numbers that we get. But the point would be to stress what Drs. Brunn and Dr. Shoup said, is getting mentorship and leadership from outside of your institution, and having this kind of be, I would call it kind of a framework for those potential organic pairings in the future, but having a base at the start. And we can even get creative and think about, when we recruit new faculty to Central Surgical, do we do a pairing at the beginning and get them kind of hooked up with a mentor right off the bat, and then things can change as we go. But please look out, everyone, and inform your other members or faculty of this coming out. We should have it out probably in the next month, with hopes to kind of debut things before the next meeting this summer.
It's a great project.
Thank you everyone for attending. I have so many more thoughts and questions. I feel like I could talk for the next 3 hours, but I'm sure everybody has other things that they want to do this evening. But thank you all very much for attending and participating. And I hope that we all got something out of this. I know I have many, many thoughts.
Thank you,
Thank you
Jamie.
very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Jamie.
you. Great session.
Great session.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thanks for organizing it.
Stay well, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night,
David
everybody.
Mulder, good seeing you, my friend.
See you all.
Bye-bye.